Part 15. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 141. Inside the cave, the fire grew from small to large. The originally damp firewood dried little by little under the summoner's fireball technique, and finally burned. After a while, a warm bonfire made the cave bright and warm. Here, in the mountains more than 70 kilometers away from the outskirts of Xuanhuan city, this cave tens of meters deep has become a safe haven for two people in this ice and snowy place. Xiaoping and Yan Duo were sitting next to the bonfire. Their clothes and pants were a little damp. In the light of the fire, they were steaming like steamed buns freshly baked. Looking at the burning bonfire, Yan Duo, who felt a little more comfortable, took a long breath, then looked at Xiaoping. His eyes moved. "You have also advanced to the dual realm." The two of them were running so fast just now, Yan Duo did not suppress his speed at all. He was surprised to find that Xiaoping could actually keep up with him. Yan Duo originally wanted to show off in front of Xiaoping, but he didn't expect that Xiaoping didn't give him this chance at all. Xiaoping nodded calmly. "Damn it, you've only been a summoner for a short time and you've already advanced to the dual realm," Yan Duo cursed, looking at Xiaoping with undisguised envy and hatred. "You can't let anyone live anymore. A few months ago I was in the one-dimensional realm, and you were still a rookie. Just now, you are also in the two-dimensional realm. Did you raise those world beads? How come it is so easy for you to fuse them?" Xiaoping spread his hands. "Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I also have mastered the divine writing." Yan Duo's eyes suddenly widened and he swallowed his saliva. "You got the divine world bead? Where did you get such a precious world bead?" "I killed a magic fire spider and got it." Yan Duo raised his head and was speechless. He found that in front of Xiaoping, he not only couldn't pretend to be a big talker, he was even gradually distanced by Xiaoping. Damn, he used to be a rising star among the summoners in Yizhu province. Why? Now he felt like a rookie in front of Xiaoping. Just now, he was wondering how Xiaoping could conjure out cloud bomb launchers one after another. He thought that Xiaoping also had space equipment, but he didn't expect that Xiaoping went one step further and opened up a secret mandala. A space warehouse. Summoners who master divine texts can transform the secret mandala and have a spatial warehouse in the secret mandala. This kind of thing is not a secret to Yan Duo. "You have also reached the dual realm, not bad." Xiaoping smiled and fiddled with the bonfire with firewood. "Go away, how long have I been in the 1UN realm? I have integrated a little more world beads in the past few months. I have advanced to the 2UN realm. Is there anything strange about it?" Yan Duo rolled his eyes and stretched out his hand to Xiaoping. "Take action, didn't you master the divine runes? Give me thousands of rune bullets to use. They can also be used to save emergencies at critical moments. By the way, you just shot the red-haired magic wolf mage's cloud explosion bomb. Yes, give me some. You also have space equipment. If you eat meat, don't allow others to drink some soup." Yan Duo finally had a look of pride on his face. "My secret mandala is also integrated with a space magic weapon, which is thousands of cubic meters. How about it? Be envious." Hearing that Yan Duo's secret mandala was fused with a space magic weapon, Xiaoping stopped saying anything. There are three kinds of space equipment for summoners. One is to use divine inscriptions to transform the secret mandala like him, and the other is the first type is like Yan Duo, who uses the secret mandala to integrate space magic weapons. The third type is simply space equipment that can be carried on the body. The first two types of space equipment that can be combined with the secret mandala are more advanced. Others cannot plunder it. The last one is relatively low level and may be lost, but low level is only relative. It is not easy for most summoners to get a portable space equipment. As for the more than 1,000 cubic space magic weapon Yan Duo mentioned, Xiaoping laughed in his heart. Xiaoping'an moved his hands and took out 5 launchers of individual cloud explosion bombs and 20 individual cloud explosion bombs, and piled them in the cave. Did you rob the arsenal? There are so many cloud explosive bombs for these individual soldiers. Yan Duo licked his lips and took away those big guys without saying a word. Absolutely. These individual cloud explosive bombs really come from the arms warehouse. By the way, what caliber bullets do you use? Whatever. Xiaoping'an waved his hand and gave Yan Duo 30 rounds of sniper rune bullets for the sniper rifle. Xiaoping'an's rune bullets, except for the MR98 pistol he uses, are mostly used on sniper rifles, because snipers are more efficient. Only 30 rounds, so stingy. It's not enough, so just bring it if you don't want it. Yan Duo curled his lips and saw that Xiaoping'an was about to put away those rune bullets. With quick eyesight and quick hands, he quickly smiled and snatched the rune bullets and put them into his space equipment. Just kidding, this rune bullet is nothing to him, but if in front of ordinary people, one rune bullet can kill a demon spirit, this rune bullet is the most sought after item. Xiaoping'an can give him 30 bullets at a time, which is enough for a friend. The production of these rune bullets requires divine power. Even if Xiaoping'an is a divine rune master, he probably won't be able to make many at one time. Didn't you get a world bead just now? Take it out and have a look, Xiaoping'an said to Yan Duo. He was quite curious about the world bead Yan Duo got. Yan Duo looked confused, rolled his eyes, and started to pretend to be dumbfounded. Boundary pearl, where is the boundary pearl? You must have seen it wrong. Seeing Xiaoping'an staring at him, Yan Duo laughed dryly again, patted Xiaoping'an on the shoulder. Don't be so stingy, didn't you get one too, the one that the red-haired magic wolf mage exploded? The pearl belongs to me, and the money you owed me before will be settled in full. How about that? Forget it, it's just a world bead. Xiaoping'an didn't bother to argue with him anymore. Okay, just treat that world bead as my repayment of the money I owe you. By the way, why are you back? Yan Duo talked about his past experience. Originally, he took several summoners from Yanzi camp to cooperate with the Anti-Narcotics Bureau of Dian Kingdom to Nangguan continent to seize drugs. After arriving at Nangguan continent, he separated from several summoners from Yanzi camp. He took action. On the day of the catastrophe, he was at sea, the ship sank, and he almost didn't come back. Later, he lived on a desert island and survived alone on the desert island for several days. Finally, he encountered a search and rescue plane from the Anti-Narcotics Administration. He had just returned to Moxie province by plane when a wave of demon spirits broke out, and everything went into chaos. These days, he traveled across 2 provinces alone, and finally returned to Yizhu and Xingquan. Of course, Yan Duo also had some opportunities and met some people these days, otherwise he wouldn't be able to advance to the dual realm. This time I finally understand why some summoner families can last for thousands of years, remain so powerful, and produce powerful summoners from generation to generation. Yan Duo's expression showed a rare hint of awe. Those summoners, the family's inheritance is hard for outsiders to imagine, but they even have some secret methods for fusion of world beads. Secret method of fusion, Xiaoping'an was also surprised. This was the first time he heard about it. Yan Duo's eyes deepened and he had a solemn look on his face. It's not accurate to say secret method. How to say it? It's more accurate to say it's experience. It's through countless tests of successful people over thousands of years. In my opinion, the experience of fusing certain world beads summarized from the analysis and statistics of Lozer's life experiences is almost the same as the secret method, which is hard to find. For example, the Divine Fire world bead, we were all confused before fusing the Divine Fire world bead. I don't know how it was integrated after the fusion, because there is a mystery of the separation, right? Yes. but did you know that the success rate of some descendants of summoner families in fusing the divine fire world pearl can be as high as over 90%? How did they do it? Xiaopingyan was also surprised. Is there anyone else who is reborn in this world with memories like him? Because those summoner families have discovered that people with independent and rich wild survival experience will have a very high success rate when fusing the divine fire world bead, so when they are raising family children from an early age, independent wild survival experience is the most important factor for those who summon. It is a level that the children of the master family must pass. In addition, rich knowledge of natural history and herbal medicine can also greatly improve the success rate of the fusion of the other two foundation establishment world beads. Some children of the summoner family they will learn these things and receive special training, so their chances of successfully integrating the world beads and becoming summoners are much higher than ordinary people. Xiaopingyan understood that this was indeed possible. As long as there were enough resources, it was indeed possible to learn about the life experiences, knowledge structures, and even personality characteristics, psychological characteristics or behavioral preferences of people who successfully integrated certain world beads, or those who failed to integrate. Make a professional analysis, and through this analysis, you can explore and summarize bit by bit, what kind of people have a higher success rate in integrating certain world beads, and what kind of people are prone to failure, and then consciously cultivate and train the people behind to learn and master certain circles. Make some corrections little by little and find the most correct and efficient path. It's like a blind man touching an elephant. Piecing together the things that each blind man touched little by little, even if people can't see the elephant, they can still imagine some of the characteristics of the elephant. This is how those powerful summoner families deal with the mystery of the other world. This kind of thing can never be done by one person. It must be summed up bit by bit through countless successes and failures over countless generations. How do you know this? I rescued an old man. The old man was also a summoner. He told me all these things. The old man also taught me a lot of things. The old man was also from a summoner family. Their family has mastered several realms. The efficient fusion method of the beads, the families of those summoners sometimes share the fusion experience of some world beads with each other through marriage or exchange, and it becomes the secret of the family. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 142. After Yan Duo talked about his experience during this period, he asked about Xiaopingyan's experience. Xiaopingyan also told him what happened in Xinquan and Yizhu during this period, and also explained his purpose of coming to Xinquan this time. The food shortage is definitely not just happening in Xinquan and Yizhu. The longer the time goes on, the greater the harm caused by the food shortage will be. The people above will not fail to see it. Therefore, it is best to take advantage of this time when those permanent space cracks disappear. Window, restore order everywhere, and eliminate those monsters, Yan Duo said, touching his chin. When you came back from outside Yizhu, did the permanent space cracks outside the province also disappear? Xiaopingyan asked. Yes, Yan Duo nodded and said with a somewhat serious look, I have seen the scene of permanent space cracks disappearing twice before. It is really shocking. In this world, there may be gods and gods beyond our imagination. The will exists, otherwise the golden tree shadows and human figures that appeared in the disappearing space cracks are completely unexplainable, and they cannot be natural phenomena. Yes, compared to this mysterious universe, our current power is still too small. Thinking of the scene when the space crack disappeared, Xiaopingyan still felt shocked in his heart at this moment. If there is some extraordinary will that closes the cracks in that space invasion, does that mean that all previous space invasions also came from another extraordinary will? Xiaopingyan suddenly remembered the dominating demon god worshipped by the members of Devil's Eye. In the past, he thought that the so-called dominating demon god should be a totem idol worshipped by Devil's Eye or the incarnation of some ideal belief. However, after seeing the scene of the space crack being sealed with his own eyes, Xiaoping's idea has been somewhat shaken. Monsters came to this world, but the monsters were also planted with boundary beads, giving the people of this world the power to fight against them. The dominant demon god has brought space invasion, and another extraordinary power that is on par with the dominant demon god is preventing the space invasion. The two sides are entangled and competing. Is the so-called space invasion the continuation of the war between gods and demons in this world? This conclusion is absurd, but it is an explanation that Xiaoping can derive in his heart that conforms to all logic. Don't lament, this is a good thing. Maybe if we persist for a few more days, the situation in Dian will change. Once there are no space cracks and the summoners have regained their composure, those invading monsters will not be able to hold on for long. On my way back, I saw that summoners in some places had reorganized with their troops and started to encircle and suppress those monsters. So fast. Some summoner families have hoarded a lot of rune bullets before. What the troops are most afraid of are demons. Once the troops can have rune bullets to restrain the demons, it will be like the red-haired demon wolf mage we met today. They are all likely to be bombarded to death by heavy artillery. When I was in East Lake Province, I saw that some summoner families have begun to dominate the local situation, gather troops and personnel, issue rune bullets to the troops, and have recovered some small cities. Yan Duo said, licking his lips, his eyes sparkling, now is the time for us to show off our talents and make great achievements. If the two of us can kill most of these monsters in Xinquan City, we will all be heroes of the country when it is recovered later. How about the two of us join forces here in Xinquan and hum him together? What you said makes a lot of sense. Xiaoping thought about it and was very moved. His target was the grain depot, but the situation in front of Xinquan was that if he didn't kill those demon wolves as a group, he would be close. It is a bit difficult to get a war-prepared grain depot, and the demon wolf clan and the demon rat are different from those big spiders. If the demon wolf mage finds a war-prepared grain depot, he is fully capable of entering the war-prepared grain depot and destroying it. Therefore, you cannot let those demon wolves idle. You must take the initiative to make those demon wolves move. It is best to lure the demon wolves out of Xinquan and eliminate as many as you can. What does it mean to be interesting? That's what it is all about. Didn't all the princes, generals, and wealthy families in history seize the opportunity at such a time? You are not afraid. The space creatures that are invading various places now are all low-level things. I have never heard of any high-level monsters invading. We are both in the dual realm. Even if we can't defeat them, there is no problem in escaping. Xiaoping's eyes moved. Speaking of escaping, I have a method here. If it succeeds, we can definitely easily eliminate a lot of demon wolves and demon rats, and we can also easily harvest a lot of world beads. What method? Yan Duo asked with interest. I have a lot of powerful cloud bombs, thermobaric bombs, thermite incendiary bombs, etc. that I got from the weapons arsenal here. You think, if we can find a place to lay a trap, and then put those magic bombs, we lure the wolves, demons, rats, etc. into the trap, and then detonate the big killers in the trap. This should be able to easily destroy a lot of monsters. The power of the airdrop thermobaric cloud bombs is not that of a single soldier's cloud bombs. Comparable. Yan Duo suddenly became excited and rubbed his hands. How many of those big guys do you have now? With tens of thousands of tons, it shouldn't be a problem to blow up half of Xinquan City. Yan Duo was shocked. Holy crap, how big is your spatial warehouse? Can it hold so much? Haha, that's enough. This method is absolutely feasible. Let's make a good plan and do him a favor in Xinquan City. The two began to discuss seriously, such as where the ambush would be most effective, what method to use to attract the monsters, and other details. This discussion lasted for more than an hour. The two agreed to wait until tomorrow to take action. First, they would find a place to set up a bomb trap, and then go to attract the monsters. Both of them have the curse mark of the demon wolf clan. If they want to attract monsters, there are many ways to do it, and they won't look very deliberate. When the discussion was almost complete, Xiaopingan took out the boundary bead he got today and looked at it. A layer of faint white light flashed inside the boundary bead, and within the white light were 4 small seals with divine inscriptions looming. Just wait and see. What a coincidence. Just now, the two of them were discussing setting up a trap, and now they have this boundary pearl in their hands. Ah, this is the world bead you got. Yan Duo looked at the divine inscriptions on the world bead in Xiaopingan's hand, and shook his head with some disappointment. This is a black box world bead. I have never heard of it. Who has fused it before, but I have never heard of anyone fusing this world bead with a dead person. This world bead is not very dangerous, you can try it here, I will protect you, it shouldn't take long. Xiaopingan didn't explain, he nodded directly, turned the ring on his hand, pricked his finger, and dripped 2 drops of blood onto the boundary bead. In just a moment, Xiaopingan's body was covered by a white cocoon of light. Surrounded. Xiaopingan opened his eyes and found that he was digging in the field with a hoe. He was wearing a short coat made of rough linen. There are more than 20 acres of heaven and earth in front of us. Among the more than 20 acres of heaven and earth, there is still an old tree stump left on the ground. Just as Xiaopingan was looking at the old tree stump, a rabbit swooped over from the grass in the distance, hit the tree stump, kicked its legs, and died. Xiaopingan laughed, it was indeed like this. The reason why it is difficult for others to successfully integrate this world pearl is that everyone who comes in is probably busy with all kinds of things, and never thought of just guarding this old tree stump. This should be the easiest world bead to fuse. In the cave, when he saw Xiaopingan being wrapped in a cocoon of light while fusing the world pearl, Yan Duo took out the world pearl he had obtained and looked at it carefully. There are several divine inscriptions on the boundary beads. Su Deolu Shipbuilding. Yan Duo didn't know the divine inscriptions on the world bead, but he knew that this world bead was a rare artifact to summon the world bead. If it was fused with this world bead, a search ship could be summoned at a critical moment. This world bead is very rare and not easy to come across. He had seen it before, so he was so generous and used this world bead to forgive Xiaopingan's debt. Just when Yan Duo touched the world bead, Xiaopingan's light cocoon shattered into pieces within a few minutes. Yan Duo quickly put away the world bead in his hand. Ahem, it doesn't matter even if you fail. Yan Duo also comforted Yiju. Well, it should be successful. Xiaopingan touched his nose and smiled. What? Yan Duo thought he heard wrongly. Successful. You said you successfully fused the black box world bead. Yes, I got 10 points of divine power and a small spell. What spell? Would you like some fresh barbecue? Think about it, do you have it? Wait a minute, Xiaopingan said, closing his eyes for a moment, and suddenly pointed his hand at a stone not far away from the two of them. A little cocky light spot flew out from Xiaopingan's finger and disappeared into that stone. Is this the end? Yan Duo blinked. Where's the meat? Wait a moment. The two of them waited patiently for 5 or 6 minutes. Just when Yan Duo almost lost his patience and thought that Xiaopingan was making fun of him, suddenly there was some movement outside the cave, a shadow flashed, and a pheasant rushed towards him. When he came in, he hit the rock with his head and fell to the ground. Half a minute later, another grey rabbit rushed in and hit the stone with its head. Looking at the two prey that rushed into the cave and hit the rock, Yan Duo was stunned. Is this that technique? That's right. This spell is a small spell for hunting. It only consumes at least a little divine power at a time and can attract some prey around you. With such a spell, wouldn't we never have to worry about going hungry? Yan Duo was extremely envious. Such a spell was so practical. Whatever prey he wanted to catch, the prey would come to him. Just now, he thought he had got it. The artifact summoning the world bead is good, but compared with the spell in front of Xiaopingan, the world bead doesn't seem so fragrant. Xiaopingan is such a pervert. No wonder he has advanced to the dual realm in such a short period of time. This should be the second black box world bead he has fused. Yan Duo has never seen any summoner fuse the world beads would be so easy. Yan Duo was already thinking seriously about whether to hug Xiaopingan's thigh. Xiaopingan's future achievements would be absolutely astonishing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 143. Viewed from the air, Yan Duo's scene of attracting monsters is quite spectacular. Yan Duo only stayed in the southwest suburbs of Xinquan City for 2 hours when a large number of demon wolves came. Just like the previous times, Yan Duo fired several individual cloud explosive bombs at the charging demon wolves. After killing dozens of demon wolf warriors, he seized the opportunity and killed 2 more demon wolves. He took the heads of a warrior and a magic wolf mage, hung the bloody heads of the magic wolf warrior and the magic wolf mage on his waist, and wandered around the suburbs of the city for half a circle like a show-off, and those magic wolves went crazy. Almost all the nearby demon wolves were attracted by Yan Duo, and there were 700 or 800 of them. Then Yan Duo began to run for his life. However, even when he was running for his life, Yan Duo did not ride away. Instead, he ran where the demon wolves could see, keeping a distance of 300 to 500 meters from the demon wolves. Every time he ran, he stopped, turned around, took out another individual cloud explosive bomb in his hand, and fired it at the demon wolves chasing behind him. After doing this a few times, the demon wolf chasing Yan Duo became manic and furious, and all of their eyes were red, as if they were bloodshot. The magic wolf mage's ice cones and black mist shot towards Yan Duo like raindrops. Yan Duo made a water shield behind himself, and then ran like a cheetah in the mountain forest where the snow had just melted, constantly dodging the attacks behind him, laughing twice from time to time, and continuing to provoke those behind him. Those pursuers. Trash, you still want to hurt me with this little trick. From now on, I will wear a wolf fur coat, use wolf skin to make leather shoes and leather pants, eat wolf meat, and drink wolf blood. You can just eat my farts. The magic wolf was howling. The magic wolf mage was more intelligent and could understand Yan Duo's words, so he became even more angry. In this pursuit, more than 2 hours later, Yan Duo finally led the pursuers behind him to the valley where Xiaopingan had set up a killing array. It has to be said that those demon wolves really have the same toughness and physical strength as wolves. When they bite the prey, those demon wolves bite Yan Duo tightly, like a plaster that cannot be shaken off. Xiaopingan was lying in ambush here, hiding in a hole in the forest near the entrance of the valley. He held a detonator in his hand and stared at the scene in the valley with his remote viewing ability. The demon wolves surged into the valley and had already entered the ambush position. Yan Duo, who was running in front, suddenly accelerated and immediately opened the distance between him and the demon wolves. He also jumped into the valley and was already ready. A big pit where you can hide. Xiaopingan pressed the detonator at once. A series of heavy thermobaric bombs and thermite incendiary bombs exploded underground where the demon wolves passed by. The entire ground was shaking, and the valley that was originally covered with a thin layer of snow instantly turned into a flaming hell. The power of the thermobaric bomb weighing several tons is not comparable to that of the individual cloudburst bomb. The moment the thermobaric bomb explodes, the shock wave in the valley forms a white mushroom-shaped canopy. After the thermite incendiary bomb was detonated, a high-temperature area of almost 3,000 degrees was formed in the valley, and stones could be burned. Under the attack of this kind of weapon, any magic wolf mage will be reduced to scum, and it is impossible to resist it. Xiaoping'an saw the bodies of countless demon wolves torn to pieces in the explosion and completely swallowed by the rolling flames. However, not all the demon wolves were swallowed up by the fire and explosion in the valley. Among the demon wolves at the end of the team, there were hundreds of them just outside the area of the power of the explosion, and they luckily escaped the impact of the explosion. But all of them were stunned, staggering, and even injured. The eyes of some demon wolves were shaken out, and blood was pouring from the mouth, nose, and ears of some demon wolves. Of course, Xiaoping'an could not let these demon wolves escape. As soon as the shock wave of the explosion swept over and the ground was still shaking, Xiaoping'an had already rushed out and rushed towards the demon wolves behind the team. 5 tigers and 5 elite slave soldiers were summoned by Xiaoping'an in an instant. There is also a magic wolf mage among those magic wolves. The magic wolf mage was shocked to the point where his ears were bleeding just now. One of his arms was fractured by a flying stone. The whole person was staggering and staggering. He had not completely recovered from after waking up from the aftermath of the explosion. He saw a summoned tiger pounce on his side. The magic wolf mage roared angrily, raised his hand, and more than a dozen ice picks pierced the tiger in an instant, causing the tiger to dissipate, and several ice picks flew towards Xiaoping'an. But the tiger only had one bait. The moment the tiger dissipated, a mini version of Xuanhuan flashed out from behind the tiger, stuck to the ground, and flew to the side of the magic wolf mage in an instant, gently clinging to the magic wolf. The wolf mage took a bite on his leg. The body of the magic wolf mage instantly became as stiff as a stone, and the luster of life in his eyes suddenly dimmed. An elite slave soldier's spear flew from a distance, and the body of the magic wolf mage suddenly shattered like a piece of fragile porcelain with a crash. After getting rid of the last magic wolf mage, the rest is easy. Xiaoping'an didn't even consume any more rune bullets. Instead, he took out a long knife and rushed towards the injured wolf warriors. A few minutes later, the last demon wolf warrior's head was chopped off by Xiaoping'an. The demon wolf warrior's blood sprayed in the muddy valley, and his body fell with a thud. Xiaoping'an began to collect the bodies of these magic wolf warriors. The corpses of these demon wolf warriors are also good materials. One demon wolf warrior corpse can be used to refine 10 physical pills and 1 first-level divine power pill. A few minutes later, Yan Duo, with a grey face and a bloody sword in his hand, looked like a groundhog that had just emerged from the ground, rushed over from the front of the valley. After the explosion, Yan Duo was responsible for killing the demon wolf in front, and Xiaoping'an was responsible for killing the demon wolf behind. The two of them attacked perfectly, not letting either one go. Is everything resolved? Solved. I still have more than 30 demon wolf corpses over there, don't waste them, they are all elixirs. Unknowingly, when Yan Duo was talking to Xiaoping'an, his face had unknowingly changed. With a smile, his tone became flattering. When he discovered that Xiaoping'an could continuously produce magical pills from the secret mandala, Yan Duo's little pride and reserve had been thrown out of the window. No matter what face or identity, how could there be a steady stream of power? The magic pill works, Xiaoping'an's thigh, he Yan Duo, no, it should be Xiaoping'an's friend, he Yan Duo is determined to hand it over. Xiaoping'an was also very agile and quickly rushed to the front of the valley to collect the corpses of the demon wolves killed by Yan Duo. Yan Duo is still a bit of a thief. He has checked the heads of the corpses and found no boundary beads. This is also a tacit understanding between the two people. The boundary beads of the demon wolf that each kills belong to each of them, and the boundary beads of the demon wolf killed with a bomb ambush are shared equally between the two. Xiaoping'an summoned the black dragon. It is faster to use the black dragon to find the boundary beads in the valley. The land in the valley was still hot and smoking. The demonic wolves that had just chased into the valley had either been reduced to dregs in the explosions and flames. Those that had not been reduced to dregs were burned like burnt dough, charred and black, and shattered at the slightest touch. Those demon wolves are no longer easily fooled. Not many were attracted this time. I think it won't be so easy next time. Yan Duo shook his head. This ambush is already the fourth in the past month or so. The most brilliant result was the first time, which attracted thousands of countless demon wolves and rats. After that, every time after that, although the two people changed places to set up ambush circles, they also exhausted all kinds of ambushes. He tried to lure the monsters, but the number of demon wolves chasing him became less and less. The black dragon soon learned about a world bead. It was an altar world bead. The second world bead was also found. It was a god-human world bead. The third world bead was also found. It was a slave soldier world bead. The fourth world bead is a divine fire world bead. The fifth one is another divine fire world bead. Lesson 6, the boundary bead is a boundary bead for summoning horses. Xiaoping'an has seen before that horse bones are bought for 1,000 gold. The seventh lesson, the boundary bead, finally cheered up Xiaoping'an. The words "draw the ground as a prison" flashed on the boundary bead. Xiaoping'an had been rare about this boundary bead for a long time. The eighth world bead is a slave soldier world bead. After several ambushes, Xiaoping'an also discovered that there were too many foundation building boundary beads among the boundary beads that exploded from these monsters. Except for the foundation building boundary beads, the others were all very basic boundary beads. Such as slave soldier world beads, net world beads, water system world beads, etc. The probability of appearing is also very high, and the others are some very ordinary divine power world beads. At this time, Xiaoping'an discovered how lucky he was to get the divine world bead for the first time. The two people quickly divided the boundary beads, 4 for each person. Xiaoping'an asked for the boundary pearl with the ground as a prison, Yan Duo asked for the horse bone bought for 1,000 gold, and the others were just 3 for each person. Alas, I have consumed too much of my divine power this time. Yan Duo deliberately complained in front of Xiaoping'an. In order to avoid the attacks of those magic wolf mages on the road, I used the water shield more than 10 times. I can't hold on any longer. Xiaoping'an didn't waste any time and directly threw a bottle of first-level magic pills to Yan Duo. There were 10 magic pills in the bottle. Yan Duo took the elixir with a smile. It was really a pleasure to work with Xiaoping'an. Just as Yan Duo was about to say something, his expression changed slightly, and he suddenly turned his head and looked at the western sky. Xiaoping'an also noticed it and turned to look at the sky to the west. There was a faint roar in the sky. As the two watched, a plane, with a white line cutting across the sky, flew from the west and soon passed through the sky above the entire Xingquan city. That was a military high-altitude reconnaissance plane, deliberately made to be seen. Yan Duiman's spirit was shaken and he almost jumped up. Xiaoping'an also clenched his fists tightly. Finally here. The two looked at each other and could see the excitement in each other's eyes. Go back to the Xuanhuan mountain base first, Xiaoping'an said. Yan Duo nodded heavily. Chapter 2 will be updated tonight. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 144. Who is it? Stop and don't move. At the entrance of the valley at the Xuanhuan mountain base, when Xiaoping'an and Yan Duo appeared outside the entrance of the valley, they were still more than 100 meters away from the entrance. The soldiers of the 87th Army who were guarding the entrance of the valley immediately shouted with their loudspeakers. The sound of the loudspeaker echoed among the surrounding cliffs. As the sound appeared, it was faintly visible that many people were aiming their guns at Xiaoping'an and Yan Duo in the surrounding positions. Are the people here very vigilant? Yan Duo smiled and muttered. The two of them said yesterday that they would return to the Xuanhuan mountain base. At noon today, the two of them had already appeared outside the base. As for food, Xiaoping'an had raided Xingquan's war preparation grain depot 2 weeks ago and obtained more than 50,000 tons of food. The two were wearing snow camouflage uniforms and cold-proof hats on their heads, covering half of their faces, so the soldiers stationed at the entrance did not recognize Xiaopingan. "It's me," Xiaopingan said calmly, taking off his hat and revealing his face. "Ah, it's Priest Xia, Priest Xia is back. Priest Xia is back. Open the entrance quickly." The soldiers stationed at the entrance of the valley screamed with joy. As the bulldozers emitted black smoke, the two bulldozers that closed the entrance gate of the valley opened. As soon as Xiaopingan came back, the news spread in the base instantly, especially when Xiaopingan brought out a lot of food in public. The dark clouds that had shrouded the entire Yunwan mountain base during this period completely dissipated, and once it was cleared away, the atmosphere in the base began to rise. Because the snow has gradually melted these days and the temperature has risen a bit, traces of demon rats and a small number of demon wolves can already be seen in the wild. Tupolu and the others went out with many summoners and special forces 2 days ago, hunting, and has not returned yet. Xiaopingan, who had just returned, had not had time to take a sip of hot water when Guo Wei and a large group of officers from the base arrived. Guo Wei placed a radio in front of Xiaopingan and Yan Duo, turned on the radio, and turned on the radio. After tuning to a certain band, a large group of people were waiting quietly in Xiaopingan's room in the military camp, holding their breath. "What is this for?" Xiaopingan asked. Guo Wei looked at the watch in his hand. "If you don't come back, we will send people to Xingquan to find you. There is news from the capital Bay Area. You will know in 2 minutes." Xiaopingan suddenly cheered up when he heard news coming from the capital Bay Area, where he had not heard from for several months. 2 minutes later, the radio rang. After the passionate national anthem of Dian country, a steady baritone voice appeared on the radio. "To all the citizens of the Great Yan Republic, all the soldiers, all the summoners, all the warriors who are still fighting, all the people who are still strong and alive despite the disaster, hello everyone, I am Li Chongyang. His identity is the chairman of the National Order Committee of the Republic of Dian and the vice chairman of the Political Management Committee of the Republic of Dian. Our president died in the early morning of October 28, 2019 on his way back to the capital Bay Area on Air Force One special plane. General Lin Chiryui, chairman of the Republic of Dian Governing Council, died on October 29, 2019. According to the Constitution of the Republic of Dian and the Succession Act of the President of the Republic of Dian, with the election of other members of the Military Control Commission, I have officially taken office as the President of the Republic of Dian and the President of the Republic of Dian on January 18, 2020. Chairmanship. In the past few months, we, like other countries around the world, have suffered unprecedented catastrophes. Our cities have been occupied by those monsters, our armies have been defeated by those monsters, and we have lost our homes, friends, and relatives. Each of us has experienced pain and suffering that we will never forget. These pains and sufferings have taken away many people around us, but they have also made those who survived stronger and more fearless. We did not fail, we were just attacked by those monsters. It was a despicable sneak attack. He caught us off guard and caused heavy losses, but we did not fail. Our warriors are still there, our fleet is still there, and our summoners are still there. We have millions of well-trained soldiers and tens of millions of reservists. We have the most powerful navy and air force in the world. Our summoner team has not suffered major losses, and they can still fight against those invasions head-on. Biology, we also have backup secret bases, and we have contingency plans and preparations that take into account the worst-case scenario. Therefore, we have not failed. We have just experienced a period of chaos and huge losses. We have not failed. The main forces of our Pacific First Fleet and Second Fleet have returned to the capital Bay Area, the Fourth Fleet, the Ninth Fleet, and the Eighth Fleet have appeared on our west coast, and the summoners of the Demon Suppressing Guard headquarters of the Order Committee have already arrived in the capital Bay. Districts are gathering, the permanent space cracks near the capital Bay Area have disappeared, order is being restored in the capital Bay Area, the legions are regrouping, and monsters are being cleared. I am now talking to you at the Strategic Command Center in the capital Bay Area. We are a nation blessed by God. Humanity will not disappear or perish. In the next 2 weeks, the permanent space cracks in all parts of the world will disappear, and in the next 18 years, there will be any level of space invasion again. Don't doubt my words, time will prove whether what I say is correct. In this universe, although the power of darkness and evil can be rampant for a while, the power of justice and light will never die. It will definitely appear when we need it most. The time has come for us to fight back and take back our homeland. The time has come for us to destroy those monsters. The order of the Great Yan Republic is being restored bit by bit, starting from the capital Bay Area. The heart of this country will start beating again, and the brain will start working again. Our legions, our summoners, are starting from the capital Bay Area, bit by bit. As the surrounding provinces and cities advance, order is being restored in villages, towns, and cities one by one. We have activated combat readiness inventories. In all places where order has been restored, we are distributing food, arranging production, and reorganizing legions and teams. Our strength is recovering and growing little by little, while the strength of those monsters is growing little by little. Of weakening. Victory will definitely belong to us. I now officially serve as the President of the Republic of Dian and the Chairman of the Military Control Commission, and I give an order to every warrior and summoner of the Dian Kingdom to pick up your weapons, assemble, and prepare to fight. We will be here soon. We will be here soon. By contacting you, I assure you that we will be able to destroy those monsters, regain our city, regain our home, and avenge our lost relatives and friends. In view of the current chaotic situation in the provinces, I will reappoint the chairman of the military control commissions in some provinces. These newly appointed chairmen of the military control commissions will arrive in each province as soon as possible to restore order in the provinces. Chairman of the Ning'an Provincial Military Control Commission, Hu Defeng. Chairman of the Xinghua Provincial Military Control Commission, Wen Zidao. Chairman of Jinshan Provincial Military Control Commission, Zhang Cheyin. Chairman of the Haizhu Provincial Military Control Commission, Dongfang Deu. One name after another came continuously from the radio, and the room was silent. Xiaopingan listened attentively, for fear of missing a word. Finally, after reading the names of more than 20 provinces, Xiaopingan heard a sentence from the radio, Chairman of the Yizhu Provincial Military Control Commission, Wang Zai. Old man, the old man is still here and has become the chairman of the Yizhu Provincial Military Control Commission. He will be back soon. After a few minutes, the sound on the radio finally stopped. Guo Wei turned off the radio and looked at Xiaopingan. This channel received this broadcast 5 days ago. This broadcast will be repeated every 10 minutes on this channel. 3 days ago, we used the radio station in the base to communicate with the capital. The first fleet in the Bay Area has made contact, and order in the capital Bay Area has indeed been restored. Tianhuang Air Force Base and Hulushan Air Force Base in the capital Bay Area have been reactivated. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 145. The group of officers in the room all looked at Xiaopingan. Unknowingly, although Xiaopingan did not hold power, he had become the soul of the base. Xiaopingan and Yan Duo looked at each other. Both of them were surprised by the announcement made by the new president of the Republic of Dian on the radio. How could the president be so sure that in the next few days, the permanent space cracks in all parts of the world will disappear, and in the next 18 years, there will not be any level of space invasion on this planet? In this case, such a judgment cannot be made by just opening one's mouth. If the space cracks in some places do not disappear in the next few days, or if there are still space invasions in the next 18 years, Mr. President will have to bear the responsibility for what he just said. Responsible. A person who has just come to power would never dare to say this without being completely sure. Yan Duo frowned slightly and thought for a while before speaking. Li Chongyang used to be the chairman of the order committee. He has always been very low-key. So low-key that many people didn't know that he was a powerful summoner. Now we have a summoner in Great Yan Kingdom. President, this is interesting. Anyway, if order can be restored in the capital Bay Area, it will definitely be a good thing. This broadcast came very timely and is worth 10 legions. Xiaopingan also said. Just now the radio said that the permanent space cracks in various places will disappear. I wonder if the ones in Xingquan City are still there. Guo Wei asked the topic that all the officers were most concerned about. The permanent space cracks in Xingquan City have disappeared, I saw it with my own eyes, Xiaopingan replied. A group of officers looked at each other, and the expressions in their eyes became excited. We have actually been in contact with Xianghe these days. The situation in Xianghe City is improving. The demon-suppressing guards stationed in Xianghe City have assembled a force of more than 2,000 people and completely controlled the suburbs of Xianghe City. The monsters in Xianghe City have been compressed into several areas in the city. Colonel Wang Cheng said. What's your opinion? Xiaopingan asked. After months of feeling useless and suffocating here, the brothers all want to make a move. Yes, these days the brothers all know about the broadcast. Everyone is very excited. They are all gearing up, just thinking about fighting those monsters again to avenge those brothers who sacrificed their lives. In addition to the troops, the militia at the base are also eager to fight and want to move around. Several officers said. Then make a move. Xiaopingan's eyes suddenly sharpened, and he said decisively, get ready, I will take you to Xianghe, join the troops assembled in Xianghe and the demon-suppressing guards, and regain Xianghe first. After regaining Xianghe, we can use Xianghe as our base, unite with the Yunwan mountain base, concentrate more strength, and gradually regain Xingquan. All the officers stood up at once, stood at attention, saluted Xiaopingan, and said loudly, yes. The officers then left one by one and went to prepare immediately. Among those officers, only Guo Wei stayed. Everyone has been waiting for your words, Guo Wei smiled and said to Xiaopingan. Xiaopingan also smiled, I can see it too, you should have made an action plan long ago, right? Yes, the action plan has been formulated a long time ago, but if you don't nod, everyone will not feel at ease. What's the plan? We will leave a battalion and a small number of summoners at the base of Yunwan Mountain and then cooperate with the militia team to garrison. We will first capture Meidi Town outside the mountain. Meidi Town is a key place. Taking Meidi Town has three functions. On the one hand, Meidi Town can as the bridgehead of the base, we protect the safety of the base. Secondly, after taking Meidi Town, we cut off the connection between the monsters in the direction of Xingquan and Xianghe City and coordinated the actions of Xianghe. Thirdly, in Meidi the town can monitor changes in the direction of Xingquan. After taking Meidi Town, we left 2 battalions and a team of summoners to garrison Meidi Town, and the main force of the army moved to Xianghe. If there was a large-scale change in the direction of Xingquan and Meidi Town could not hold it, the troops and summoners stationed in Meidi Town we can return to the Yunwanshan base, and our troops can also return for reinforcements. If everything goes normal in the Xingquan direction during our recapture of Xianghe, the back of Meidi Town can become an advance base for the troops to regain Xianghe. Guo Wei is the staff officer, and there is no shortage of professional staff officers at Yunwanshan base, so the action plan formulated by the army has taken into account all aspects of the situation, and Xiaopingan can't find any faults. Xiaopingan has passed Matizan back and forth more than once. It is more than 100 kilometers away from Xingquan and more than 200 kilometers away from Xianghe. It is a transportation hub. When Guo Wei left, Yan Duo also yawned and stood up. Okay, call me when you set off. I've been traveling all night and I'm exhausted. I'm going to catch up on my sleep first and then go to Fusion World Pearl, The death rate of the boundary bead that summons horses is very low, but the success rate is not high either. I don't know if the fusion can be successful this time. Xiaoping'an touched his chin and suddenly said, I had a strange dream 2 days ago. It was related to horses. Do you want to listen to it? What did you dream about? Yan Duo, who was about to leave just now, stopped and couldn't help but ask curiously. In my dream, a king gave me a lot of money and asked me to buy a 1,000-mile horse, but it was difficult to find a 1,000-mile horse, and the king's task could not be completed. So I thought of a way and spent a lot of money to buy some horse bones and brought them to the king. Tell the king that these bones belong to the Kolima horse. Yan Duo laughed, you deceived the king so much and embezzled the money to buy a 1,000-mile horse. Didn't the king chop off your head in your dream? I didn't cut it. This matter spread later. Everyone knew that I spent a lot of money to buy some bones of the Kolima and presented them to the king. The people who had the Kolima heard about it and sent the Kolima over. My mission was completed, and the king rewarded me heavily. Yan Duo was stunned for a moment and touched the stubble on his chin. It's a good idea to use the bones of a 1,000-mile horse to advertise. After saying that, Yan Duo left and walked to the door. He couldn't help but reflect on the dream Xiaoping'an had just told him, and muttered, interesting. As for Yan Duo, Xiaoping'an is not worried. Because of the mystery of the boundary, even if Yan Duo succeeds in merging, he still can't remember what happened in the boundary pearl. That guy will probably think that he is gifted or lucky. After Yan Duo left, Xiaoping'an also took out his own boundary bead that draws the ground as a prison. In just a few minutes, the light cocoon appeared and disappeared on Xiaoping'an, and Xiaoping'an woke up and merged perfectly again. Coupled with this drawing the ground as a prison boundary bead, as well as several divine power boundary beads and other boundary beads that were fused during this period, the upper limit of divine power in Xiaoping'an's secret mandala has reached 585 points, and it is no longer close to the 3UN realm. Far. Moreover, in Xiaoping'an's temple, there has long been a granite relief sculpture of 1,000 gold buys horse bones. There is a shining horse on the relief. Xiaoping'an obtained the horse bones for 1,000 gold world bead a few days ago. 1 day later, amid the tributes of tens of thousands of people at Xuanhuan mountain base, Xiaoping'an drove out of Xuanhuan mountain base with a group of summoners, a team of more than 3,000 people, and hundreds of military trucks loaded with supplies. Entrance to the valley. The snow was melting and the roads were slushy under truck wheels. As expected, Yan Duo's horse bones bought with 1,000 gold world beads were successfully fused. When everyone left the valley, Yan Duo summoned a maroon high-headed horse and rode on it with the troops. Leave. The battle to retake Meidi town lasted less than 20 minutes. Xiaoping'an, Yan Duo Tupolu and other summoners each led several groups of soldiers into Meidi town. More than a dozen large spiders entrenched in and around Meidi town, dozens of the demon rat was quickly killed and turned into Xiaoping'an's elixir material. The troops stayed in Meidi town for a day and built various fortifications in the town. The summoners cleared the ground wilderness around the town and killed all the monsters they encountered. Yan Duo was a troublemaker and was not weak in ability, so he stayed in Meidi town with a few summoners. Xiaoping'an took a team of more than 2,000 people, hundreds of military vehicles and dozens of summoners, and spent 2 days returning to Xianghe again. After being separated from Mo Yanshao and others for such a long time, a group of summoners from the Xianghe City Order Committee reunited in Xianghe City. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 146. Raindrops floated in the air, shrouding the entire Xianghe city in a layer of mist. The smell of gunpowder and explosives mixed in the rain and mist made the city seem less peaceful in this early spring. There was no thunder in the sky, but the explosions of rockets that sounded from time to time in various parts of the city were like spring thunder, shaking everyone's nerves. Rumble. The roar of tanks sounded in that familiar neighborhood. There was a burned-out Volkswagen sedan on the street. It was directly knocked away by the tank that entered the street and crushed into pieces of iron. Xiaopingyan stood on the turret of the tank, letting the cold rain fall on his face. He squinted at the familiar yet unfamiliar streets in front of him, and his remote viewing ability illuminated several blocks around him. Completely enveloped. Xianghe City at this moment is somewhat unfamiliar to Xiaopingyan, even though he has lived in the city for many years before and is familiar with every street and building in the city. The buildings that were reduced to ruins in the wars and fires, and the car wrecks on the streets, caught Xiaopingyan's eyes from time to time. Behind Xiaopingyan were 2 entire battalions of soldiers, as well as hundreds of summoners. In other directions in the city, young Master Mo Yan and others, as well as the summoners of the demon-suppressing guards, were dividing into 4 teams, piercing into Xianghe City from the 4 directions of east, west, north, and south like 4 sharp knives. Cleaning out the last monsters entrenched in Xianghe City. This is already the 7th day that Xiaopingyan has returned to Xianghe, and it is also the 3rd day of the official operation to regain Xianghe. During these 3 days, hundreds of summoners and thousands of soldiers gathered in Xianghe City, under the command of Xiaopingyan and others, work step by step, one building after another, one garage after another, one garage after another. The monsters were being swept away street by street. There were still magic fire spiders running out 2 days ago, but since it rained today, all the magic fire spiders in the city were hiding. At most, only magic liquid spiders and magic rats could be seen on the streets. Because of Xiaopingyan's remote viewing ability and his prestige among the officers and soldiers of the 87th Army Corps, Xiaopingyan, who brought his people to Xianghe City, undoubtedly became one of the commanders of this battle of recapture. Mo Yanshao, who has remote viewing capabilities and is extremely familiar with Xianghe City, is also the commander of the battle to regain Xianghe. The other 2 commanders are both summoners from the Demon Guard. They also have remote viewing capabilities and can control the entire battlefield. Situation. The 4 teams coordinated their actions, fought steadily, and advanced step by step, completely restraining the monsters. Attention of the 1st Sniper Team and the 1st and 2nd Lightning Strike Teams. In the alley to the left of the Julie building on Dongying Street ahead, there are 3 phantom monsters, 7 magic rats, and a magic liquid spider hiding. The summoner is preparing to lure the enemy. Xiaopingyan's voice was transmitted to the teams behind him through the military walkie-talkie on the battlefield. The sniper team is responsible for the demon spirits of the phantom monster, and the lightning strike team uses rocket launchers and individual cloud bombs to deal with the demon rats and demon spiders. As Xiaopingyan raised his hand, the advancing team stopped. A summoner commanded a slave soldier in front of the tank to rush into the alley that Xiaopingyan said. After more than 10 seconds, the slave soldier came out of the alley. He ran out, followed by 3 phantom demon spirits, 7 demon rats and a demon liquid spider. The gunshots of the sniper team rang out, and the demon spirits of the 3 phantom monsters were hit by rune bullets, burning instantly and turning into ashes. Several rockets were blasted out. The demonic liquid spider that had just rushed out of the alley was hit by a rocket before it could show off its power, and its stomach was blown apart. The corrosive liquid in the demonic liquid spider's belly was splashed. Everywhere, the corrosive liquid splashed onto the demon rats nearby, corroding their bodies until they started to smoke and squeak. The heavy machine gun began to roar, and the demon rats that rushed towards the team were beaten with blood all over their bodies by the heavy machine gun. But just when the demon rats approached 50 meters in front of the team, the heavy machine gun stopped, and a few slave soldiers rushed forward, and easily dispatched the demon rats. Xiaopingyan put away the corpses of the demon rats and demon liquid spiders, and then asked the team to move forward. When they arrived at the intersection of the Julie building, Xiaopinggan ordered everyone to stay in place. There are demon rats on the 3rd, 7th, 13th, and rooftop floors of the Julie building. The 1st, 2nd, and 3rd suppression teams are entering to eliminate. After Xiaopinggan gave the order, Tupolu took his broadsword, and several summoners each led a team of soldiers into the building. There are large groups of magic fire spiders in the underground parking lot and shelter of Julie building. The 4th, 5th, and 6th elimination teams followed me into the underground to eliminate them. Others defended on the spot, searching for survivors in nearby buildings and cleaning up the remains of the victims. People's ability to survive is very strong. It was only after arriving in Xianghe City and during the first 2 days of operations that Xiaopinggan discovered that some residents of Xianghe City locked themselves in their homes and family shelters, relying on their homes to survive. With the stored grain and some collected rain and snow water, I managed to survive at home for several months. Therefore, searching for survivors has become one of the team's tasks. As for the remains of the victims, they are found in many places in the city. Many of the remains have rotted and must be dealt with. If not dealt with, a plague may break out even if the city is not taken. After Xiaopinggan finished speaking, he jumped down from the tank, led several summoners and several teams, entered the underground garage of Julie building from the entrance of the garage, and began to clear out the large monsters entrenched in the underground garage and underground shelter. Spider. Xiaopinggan summoned a black Xuanhuan the size of a millstone to clear the way. The Xuanhuan shook its head, and the fast insect arrived in the underground parking lot. Xiaopinggan then led the people in. Then there were several explosions in the underground parking lot in less than 10 minutes, Xiaopinggan led the people out. All the magic fire spiders in the underground parking lot have been wiped out. Tupolu and the others also came out of the building and brought the body of the demon rat. 2 soldiers were injured, but the injuries were not serious. They were transferred to the hospital behind them immediately after going downstairs. The search team also came out. There were no survivors here, but there were 2 corpses. They had been properly handled and handed over to the people behind for transportation and burial. The 4 teams were advancing bit by bit like machines, plowing through every street and every building in the city inch by inch. 1 day later, Xiaopinggan once again used the thermobaric bombs and thermite incendiary bombs in his space warehouse, because there were a large number of magic liquid spiders and magic fire spiders gathered in an underground shelter in the city, which was very difficult to deal with. A few cloud blast bombs and dozens of thermite incendiary bombs were stuffed in, and Xiaopinggan directly blew up the underground shelter by himself. The explosion shook the entire city. This explosion also symbolized everyone's determination to regain Xianghe. The battle to regain Xianghe progressed steadily day by day. Although there were casualties in the battle, overall it went smoothly. Compared to organized humans, the monsters entrenched in the city were more like imbecile beasts. In just 5 days, there was no longer a monster to be seen in Xianghe City. When the 4 teams finally met in the city square in the center of Xianghe, all the warriors and summoners who participated in the battle were excited and reveled. Xianghe City was finally recovered. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 147. A large group of summoners and officers stood at the Xianghe City airport where the runway had just been cleared, all looking forward to it. After several days of haze, the weather is good today, with a rare clear sky. Almost all the summoners gathered in Xianghe City came, as did all the former school-level officers of the 87th Legion in Xianghe City. A total of hundreds of people gathered here. Xiaopinggan was wearing a brand new black uniform of the Legion Priest of the 87th Legion. The uniform had the badge of the Legion Priest on it. He stood at the front of the crowd and looked quite conspicuous. Young Master Mo Yan was also wearing a black combat uniform and was in high spirits. Even Tupolu, who was usually informal, tidied up carefully and shaved his head again, making his bald head shine in the crowd. Li Yunzhou, Cao Xinghua, Chen Yishan, and others have gone through this change, although it has only been a few months, but they have been tempered a lot. Even Li Yunzhou has become much calmer and not as bold as before. As for An Qing, Fang Lingshan, and Lu Na, each wore a female summoner's combat uniform, and their heroic appearance attracted the attention of the surrounding male summoners and officers. How is the situation over in Xingquan? Mo Yanshao looked at the clouds on the horizon, tilted his head, and chatted with Xia Pinggan in a low voice. That guy Yan Duo was restless. He led his men to attack several times and killed many demon wolves and rats. The situation in Xingquan has not worsened and is still under control. Those monsters are still entrenched in the city. Guo Wei, yesterday, we returned to the Yunhuan mountain base with a battalion of soldiers. The people of the Yunhuan mountain base have mobilized thousands of people to start repairing the highway between Xingquan and Xianghe. Xia Ping'an replied. The situation is developing for the better. After the news of the recovery of Xianghe reached the Yunhuan mountain base, everyone in the Yunhuan mountain base was excited. Before, the people in the base did not dare to go out, but now, the courage of those people it's also starting to get bigger. The reason why Yan Duo was so active in killing monsters was mostly because of the boundary pearl, but he had to admit that that guy was really powerful. As the snow melts and the weather turns sunny, the large spiders that previously huddled underground have become more active these days. There are many monsters entrenched in Xingquan city, which is a threat to the battle to regain Xianghe. In more than a week, Yan Duo not only guarded Matai tightly, but also achieved many results. Just 2 days ago, he led a group of soldiers and engineers to use anti-tank mines in the Yunhuan mountain base. He set up a killing array with explosives, repeated the same old tune, and actually ambushed and killed more than 100 demon wolves, more than 200 demon fire spiders, and many demon rats in one go. The recovery of Xianghe city suddenly opened up the situation in Yizhou province. After emergency repairs by engineers, a TV station and a radio station in Xianghe city have been gradually restored and are now put into use. They can broadcast the news of the restoration of Xianghe to the entire Yizhou and nearby provinces. As long as there is a TV or radio in Yizhou, you can all receive the programs broadcast here. In times of disaster, these radio broadcasts and programs play a huge role, like torches lit in the darkness, giving people light and hope. In just a few days, many troops, summoners, and ordinary citizens who were scattered in the wild have gathered towards Xianghe after receiving the news. Now there are more than 300,000 people in Xianghe city, and the troops are also there are more and more people, and they are increasing every day. The food in Xianghe city is quite sufficient. The underground war-prepared grain depot here is intact and can feed more than 1 million people for 2 years. In order to cope with space invasion, the provinces and cities of Dian Kingdom simply don't have too many war-ready food depots and shelters. Xianghe city is gradually regaining its vitality. The ruins and garbage on the streets are being cleared bit by people who have returned to the city. The city's water supply and power supply facilities are being restored bit by bit, and even a restored bus is being restored. When the car took to the streets again, it became news on TV and was filmed and broadcast. A few minutes later, a gray-green military transport plane appeared above the clouds and slid down towards the airport. Seeing the plane arriving, everyone waiting at the airport was shocked. The military transport plane landed steadily on the cleared runway, and then slid towards the pickup area where everyone was waiting. When the military transport plane stopped, the cabin door opened, and the escalator was lowered. The figure of the old man Wang Zai was revealed. The cabin door appeared. We haven't seen each other for many months. The silver-haired old man is still upright, holding a faucet cane in his hand. He is wearing a black dress and is meticulous. He looks like a yuppie gentleman. But compared with before, the only difference is that the old man's left side is he wore a black eye patch over his eyes. The black eye patch gave the old man a more chilling aura. When they saw the old man getting off the plane, the reporters who had been waiting here rushed up and gave the old man some close-ups. The excited reporter took the microphone and pointed to the plane next to the old man and introduced, "Dear viewers, today's time is February 7, 2020. Today's Xuanhuan airport has landed again today after being closed for several months. The plane that got off was a military transport plane. It took off from the capital Bay Area. After a flight of more than 4,000 kilometers, it landed steadily here. The person who got off the plane was none other than Wang 11, the new chairman of the Yizhou Provincial Military Control Commission. And, Chairman Wang was based in Yizhou before, and when I saw Chairman Wang stepping off the plane, I believe that order in our other cities in Yizhou will be restored soon, and those invading monsters will definitely be eliminated." The old man's remaining right eye scanned the entire audience sharply, and then he slowly walked off the plane. Xiaopinggan took a deep breath, held his head high, and was the first to walk over and salute the old man. Xiaopinggan, the priest of the 87th Legion, welcomes the old man on behalf of all the summoners of the Yizhou Demon Guard and all the soldiers of the 87th Legion. You return to Yizhou. Xiaopinggan was born in Yizhou Demon Guard, his old subordinate, and he was also the Legion summoner of the 87th Legion. He was considered a member of the 87th Legion. These two identities, coupled with Xiaopinggan's achievements in Xingquan and Xuanhuan, made him nothing. The doubtful person became the most suitable person to step forward on behalf of everyone at this moment to welcome the old man's arrival. Yes, everyone has done a good job. You did not disgrace the Yizhou Demon Guards and the 87th Legion, you did not embarrass me, and you did not embarrass the sacrificed chairman Tang Qiuaveng. You are the pride of Dian and the country. Everyone is worthy of their status as soldiers and summoners. The old man was also a little excited and said loudly to everyone present. After hearing the old man's words, many soldiers and summoners present held their heads high, but their tears could not stop flowing down. The past few months have been too difficult. Countless people have sacrificed their lives, cities have fallen, and countless people have been displaced. The entire Great Yan Kingdom is basically in a state of anarchy. There is no hope at all. Everyone has been able to support me until today. It's the passion and indomitable spirit in his chest. What is that spirit? He will fight those monsters even to the death. The old man shook hands with Xiaopinggan. After shaking hands, Xiaopinggan discovered that the old man took off his gloves and shook hands with his left hand. The old man's right hand was still wearing a glove, and under the glove was a steel prosthesis. In addition to his left eye, the old man's right hand also. Thinking of the scene where the old man guarded the Yizhou Order Committee on the night of the calamity and the several large pits and collapsed and shattered buildings where the Order Committee was located, Xiaopinggan felt a little bit sad in his heart. The old man also tried his best that night. The old man saw the change in Xiaopinggan's expression and just smiled lightly. At my age, I can still contribute an eye and an arm to the country. It's nothing. Anyway, these eyes and arms will be brought into the coffin in the future. You can come in handy before entering the coffin. I think it's not a loss. You are very good. I know everything you did in Xingquan and Xuanhuan. You are worthy of being a person who has stepped out of the demon suppression guard. You are very good, very good. The old man said, patting Xiaopinggan's shoulder heavily with his hand. Old man, you are flattering me, I just did what I should do, Xiaopinggan said calmly. The old man nodded, looked at the others, straightened his face, and said directly, now, I will announce the latest appointment of the Yizhou Military Control Commission. Young Master Mo Yan will be on the list. Young Master Mo Yan in the crowd strode forward, from now on, you are the director of the Xuanhuan City Military Control Commission. Yes, young Master Mo Yan loudly accepted the order, then took a step back. The royal city is out. Wang Cheng strode forward and saluted with a military salute. From this moment on, I appoint you as the Major General of the newly formed 87th Army Corps. Wang Cheng looked excited, saluted with a military salute, and then returned to the team. Luo Yang came out. From this moment on, I appoint you as the commander of the Xianghe City military region. Tupola came out. Hearing the old man read his name, Tupola was stunned for a moment, but he quickly took 2 steps forward and walked out. From this moment on, I appoint you as the director of the Xianghe City Order Committee. The old man announced the appointment at the airport. The officers and summoners present, including some who were not present, as long as they had made meritorious services, were appointed to new positions. Guo Wei was not present at the scene, but he was promoted and appointed Chief of Staff of the new 87th Army Corps, and his military rank was changed to Major General. Yan Duo was not present at the scene, but he was appointed by the old man as one of the leaders of the demon-suppressing guards. And Qing was appointed Director of the Special Operations Division of the Xianghe City Order Committee. The summoners present, either in the Demon Suppression Guard or in the Order Committee, had their identities and positions changed. Until the old man finished reading everyone's names, he didn't read about Xiaopinggan's appointment. Everyone's expressions changed slightly. Xiaopinggan's expression remained as usual, but Tupolu, who had a straight face, couldn't help but stood up and asked in a rough voice, "Old man, Xiaopinggan has the greatest contribution and has killed the most monsters. What is his appointment?" "Xiaopinggan has other important responsibilities. His appointment will not be announced here," the old man said lightly. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 148. With the arrival of the old man, the entire Xianghe city was like a clockwork machine, and began to revolve rapidly around the battle to regain Xingquan. The returning soldiers of the previously disbanded 87th Army began to reorganize into the new 87th Army. The number of the new army soon exceeded 10,000. The Yizhu Town Demon Guard was also formed again. The newly formed New First Army and the Demon Suppressing Guards began to mix. The so-called mixed formation is also the most effective combat method for destroying monsters that Xiaopinggan and the others have summarized in practice, using the cooperation of summoners and troops. Generally speaking, a combat team of about 100 people, composed of 2 to 3 summoners and a company, is the most effective combat organization for dealing with monsters in urban street fighting and in the wild. In such a 100-man combat team, there is a platoon of soldiers equipped with rocket launchers, a platoon of soldiers equipped with grenade launchers and squad machine guns, and a platoon of soldiers responsible for battlefield support. At the same time, the sniper team is equipped with rune bullets, and the summoner combined with the abilities of the warriors. The monsters entrenched in the city can basically be completely restrained. Such a 100-man combat team can advance and retreat flexibly, and can be divided or reconciled. When encountering small groups of monsters, they can be annihilated individually. When encountering large groups of monsters, they can fight together. They can also cooperate with each other, which is most efficient and convenient. 3 days after the old man arrived in Xianghe City, a total of 118-man combat teams were formed. Then the old man led the team directly out of Xianghe and drove to Meidi Town, officially starting the battle to regain Xingquan. Xianghe City and Yunwanshan base have been connected, and the roads in these two places have been restored, becoming the rear area of Meidi Town. People from all directions who had previously been hiding in various places continued to gather towards Xianghe City and Yunwan Mountain Base. The old man was the commander-in-chief of the battle, and Xiaopinggan was left by his side. Xiaopinggan, who is by the old man's side, is still the legion priest of the 87th Legion. To a certain extent, Xiaopinggan has become the old man's assistant. Because Xiaopinggan has the ability of remote viewing, and the old man likes to be close to the battlefield and command the battle on the front line, so Xiaopinggan became the old man's battlefield clairvoyant, and could provide him with relevant battlefield information and dynamics at any time. In addition to following the old man as a clairvoyant, Xiaopinggan's other responsibility is to produce elixirs and rune bullets. The fresh corpses of the monsters obtained on the battlefield were basically sent to Xiaopinggan in exchange for the first god pill, divine power pill and rune bullets. The sacrificed soldiers were also sent to Xiaopinggan, who held a requiem ceremony. The front lines outside Meidi town continue to advance towards Xingquan city, several miles and more than 10 miles a day. Because there are a steady stream of summoners and soldiers of the 87th Legion coming from all directions, and people are constantly asking to join the army, the number of 100-man combat teams that the old man can command not only does not decrease in the day-to-day battles, but is gradually increasing. Every day, a newly formed combat team will join the battlefield. The initial 100 and 1800-man combat teams turned into 131 within a short period of time. Xiaopinggan witnessed with his own eyes that the battlefield situation in Xingquan was turning around bit by bit. The situation was completely different. One less monster was killed on the battlefield, and the number of monsters on the battlefield became smaller and smaller as the battle progressed. However, the number of demon-suppressing guards and soldiers of the 87th Legion increased with each battle. A week after the old man came to Meidi town, a total of 137 combat teams of 100 people, more than 2,000 various vehicles, plus more than 3,000 returning soldiers and more than 20,000 militia teams pushed the front to the outskirts of Xingquan city, completing the attack on Xingquan city area surrounded. The subsequent battle became another replica of the battle in Xianghe city. Those imbecile monsters did not create any miracles. More than 140 combat teams of 100 people invaded Xingquan from 7 directions, advancing step by step, clearing out monsters in towns, streets, and buildings one by one, constantly pushing the defense line forward. Those monsters, under the siege of such an iron barrel formation, completely became caged beasts. When the phantom monsters were killed by rune bullets and summoners as soon as they appeared, those magic fire spiders, magic liquid spiders and magic rats organized several breakouts. Under the attack of modern weapons, they all ended in failure. This time, the streets, underground shelters, and garages of Xingquan city were filled with the corpses of those monsters. On February 26, 2020, 19 days after the old man returned to Yizhu, Xingquan, the capital of Yizhu province, was restored. The urban area of Xingquan was in an uproar, and the entire urban area was filled with gunshots fired into the air. When the liberation of Xingquan was announced, the excited soldiers and militiamen inside and outside Xingquan city took their firearms and fired into the sky. At this time, in the evening, Xiaopinggan accompanied the old man back to the Yizhu Provincial Order Committee's base in Xingquan. After a whole winter, the base of the Yizhu Provincial Order Committee has changed again. The collapsed building is still collapsed, and the big crater left by the fire meteorite is still there. But among the ruins of the buildings, the broken brick walls and the collapsed steel structures, pieces of vigorous weeds emerged from the ground tenaciously and vigorously, and squeezed through the gaps between the stones and steel. Out! The old man held a dragon-headed cane with both hands, like an old man returning to his hometown. Looking at the ruins, he said with some emotion, "I never realized that the grass here can grow so vigorously. Has the old man discovered that these weeds are just like people? Human vitality is actually no worse than these weeds." Xiaopinggan stood behind the old man and said softly, "Yes, on the land covered by the blood of monsters and ice and snow, stronger grass will surely grow in spring." The old man turned his head and said to Xiaopinggan with a serious look, "Thank you for your hard work these days. I just did what I was supposed to do. Recovering Xianghe and Xingquan, among all the summoners, you have the first credit. It can be said that you have the most credit. Do you know why I have never promoted you?" the old man suddenly asked. Xiaopinggan smiled bitterly, "Because old man, you want to arrange more important errands for me. Now that Xingquan has been recovered, the monsters in other places in Yizhu province will not be able to hold on for too long. Old man, you can tell me now, am I staying in Yizhu, in just a few days?" The old man took a deep look at Xiaopinggan. "Have you already guessed it?" "I've guessed a little bit, but I still don't know what the errand is." The old man took a long breath and said, "Come for a walk with me." After saying that, the old man turned around and walked step by step towards the road outside. Xiaopinggan also followed the old man. "Do you know how many people have died in Dian Kingdom from October 28 last year to today?" The old man walking on the road suddenly asked Xiaopinggan a question in a low voice. Xiaopinggan shook his head. "The initial estimate of the number of victims in Dian is more than 110 million. The old man said an extremely heavy number, with a hint of hoarseness and trembling in his voice. "The total number of victims in all countries around the world exceeds 900 million. Our planet, the human beings in this world, are like chickens and ducks locked in cages and can be slaughtered at will. If the number of human deaths since the invasion of space is added together, the number exceeds 33 billion. Space. If the invasion is not ended, our children and grandchildren will never be able to escape this tragic fate." These two numbers made Xiaopinggan feel heavy. In the midst of the disaster of the past few months, these two figures are too depressing. "How to end the space invasion?" Xiaopinggan asked. As the old man walked, he asked Xiaopinggan a question: "Do you believe that there are gods and demons in this world? Do you believe that there is a kind of power that transcends the world and the limits of human imagination, and a kind of will that is above everything?" "I believe it," Xiaopinggan said directly. Seeing the old man looking at him, Xiaopinggan added, "Actually, I have always been a theist. In front of the creation of the universe, we are too small, and we are not alone." The old man continued to ask, "Have you ever thought that the so-called space invasion does not occur naturally, but is caused by some force that exceeds our understanding?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 149. Old man, I have never thought of this before. Xiaopinggan shook his head. "I used to think that space invasion was some kind of natural phenomenon where our world intersects with another world. But in recent months, especially after witnessing the scene of the space cracks closing and disappearing, I have been thinking about what is the power that closes the cracks in space, what is that big tree, and what is that figure? Is the holy arrival mentioned by the Devil's Eye before the same power that you mentioned, old man? In this universe, are there always two completely different forces fighting against each other? Are these two forces the gods and demons you mentioned, old man?" "I can tell you now, yes," the old man said calmly, and his frankness surprised Xiaopinggan. "This was originally a secret handed down by the demon-suppressing guard from ancient times. Now, you are also qualified to know, the so-called God harmony is our definition of those two forces. We don't know what is behind those two forces, but what is certain is that they are two super-wills that can influence and dominate everything, one force. It will bring darkness, terror, and pain, and another force that is completely opposite to it. Have the demon-suppressing guards known this for a long time? Yes, our ancestors have long felt the existence of those two forces. Just to avoid causing public panic and undermining the authority of the government, we have always kept silent about the existence of those two forces, and the media has not reported them. Previously, Chairman Li Chongyang said in the announcement that the permanent space cracks in all parts of the world will disappear, and in the next 18 years, there will no longer be any level of space invasion on this planet. Does this mean that space is closed? Another message from the Rift Superwill to our world. Yes, the old man nodded. Among the awakened people in our world, there is actually a very special and rare group that can awaken an extraordinary ability. Their awakened ability allows them to perceive that a message of superwill, and convey that message to us. This awakening ability has different names in different countries and nations. Some are called oracles, and some are called prophets or saints. Since ancient times, yes, the sages who founded the demon-suppressing guard were the ones who awakened this ability. Chairman Li Chongyang was the oracle who awakened this ability. There are also such people in other countries, and there are also people in China. The oracles perceive and come into contact with them. Information can be corroborated by each other. Xiaopinggan was shocked. He didn't expect that someone could awaken such an ability. Didn't these oracles receive the news about the holy arrival and the heavenly tribulation? The old man sighed. The world where the two super-wills are entangled in each other is too mysterious and unpredictable. It is difficult for outsiders to guess the specific situation. Sometimes one of their forces will overwhelm the other and completely occupy it. The upper wind sometimes works the other way around, just like the alternation of night and day. Only at dawn and dusk are these two forces able to coexist. When a certain force completely gains the upper hand, the influence of another force on the world may be completely blocked for a period of time, just like the opening and closing of space rifts, just like the isolation of space invasion in the next 18 years. Is a manifestation of the entanglement of these two forces. Half a year before the arrival of the natural disaster, the connection between the oracles of this world and the super-will has been completely cut off and shielded, so no information has been obtained. Xiaopinggan walked with the old man through the city streets that were full of vicissitudes but had new life. The old man talked to Xiaopinggan while walking. The old man spoke eloquently, telling people heart-stopping secrets, and Xiaopinggan gradually understood what the mission the old man wanted to give him. If we want to completely end the endless disasters caused by space invasion to all humans and countries in this world, the answer lies at the source of space invasion. According to the oracles and information obtained by the oracles, there are some dark towers in the world at the source of the space invasion. As long as those dark towers can be destroyed, the history of this world experiencing space invasion will be ended. Since knowing this information, Dian Kingdom and Huaxia Kingdom have formulated a sky-mending plan. The goal of the sky-matching plan is to end the space invasion and destroy the dark tower at the source of the space invasion. Under the ice in Antarctica there is a secret base jointly managed by the Great Yan Kingdom and the Huaxia Kingdom. In that secret base, there is a space crack that allows humans to enter the world over there. Starting from June 18, 1996, when Dian Kingdom and Huaxia Kingdom first sent a large number of elites to enter that world, over the past 20 years, Dian Kingdom and Huaxia Kingdom have sent a total of 4 batches of elites to enter the world. In the world over there, countless people have been sacrificed, but there has been no success. Let alone destroying the Dark Tower. I don't even know what the Dark Tower is, what it looks like, and where it is. The information from the first few operations of Project Mending the Sky only let this side know that the world over there is vast, and at the same time, it is full of dangers. There are countless monsters over there, but at the same time, there are also humans in the world over there. Proliferate and have its own civilization system. The summoner is the absolute leader of the opposite world, and that world has some special resources and conditions that allow the summoner's strength to grow to an unimaginable level in that world. The number of people entering that world through the Antarctic Space Channel is not unlimited. Every time a person enters, some of the energy in that space rift will be consumed. Now the remaining energy in that space rift can finally allow 108 people to enter that world. Side, and that space crack will be completely closed in the next 2 months. I don't know if it can be opened again in the future. People who enter that space crack this time will have a narrow escape. Even if you can survive, you may never come back in the end. This is the last operation of the Mending Sky plan. Our Great Yan Kingdom has a quota of 54 people this time. All participants are voluntary. I will give you 3. Think about it carefully. If you don't go, you will stay as the commander of the Yazhu Town Demon Guard and lead the Yazhu Town Demon Guard. After saying this, the old man left. This was a life or death decision that even Xiaopinggan had to seriously consider. In the end, Xiaopinggan walked aimlessly on the streets of Xingquan City alone. At this time, the gunfire had stopped, and the crowd was reveling in the square in the city center. The streets of the city suddenly seemed a little deserted. While walking, Xiaopinggan accidentally kicked a small, deformed and worn iron box on the side of the road. The box was kicked open, and a crystal ball music box rolled out of the tin box. Xiaopinggan picked up the music box with the crystal ball. Inside the crystal ball was a little ballet dancer. There was also a small note hanging on the music box. On the note were written a few words: "Happy birthday, baby Linlin, Mom and Dad will always love you." Xiaopinggan twisted the clockwork of the music box twice and put the music box in the palm of his hand. As the clockwork turned, the little man in the crystal ball danced ballet, and at the same time, the music box began to make a clear and sweet sound of tinkling bells. The sound of the birthday song. On the quiet street, there were only Xiaopinggan's standing figure and the sound of the music box that echoed gently. The next day, Xiaopinggan came to the old man and said calmly, "I am willing to participate in the sky mending project, and I have a request." "Any request?" "Please take care of my sister." The old man nodded. "Xiaoning will be my granddaughter from now on. I can arrange for you to meet again." The restoration of Xinquan was a major event for the entire Yizhou province. 2 days after the liberation of Xinquan, the city gradually became lively. People came from all directions. The city's population exceeded 100,000 in just a few days. The water supply is gradually restored, the power supply is gradually restored, and people and vehicles are pouring in to clear the ruins on the city streets. During this period, Xiaopinggan, as the priest of the 87th Legion, once again presided over a requiem ceremony for the sacrificed soldiers. On March 6, Xiaopinggan left Xinquan on a military plane, preparing to meet Xiaoning. To Xiaopinggan's surprise, besides him, there was another person on the plane that he had not expected before. Yan Duo shrugged, with an indifferent look on his face. "Don't look at me like that, okay? I think Project Mending the Sky is quite interesting." I approached the old man and asked to go, but a few guys gave up because of it. "There are just a few more places, I will take one." Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 150. The capital Bay Area of Dian Kingdom is located on the west coast of Bay Guangzhou. It is the largest bay area in the world and the most economically developed place in the world. Xiaopinggan and Yan Duo took a military plane across a distance of thousands of kilometers. After several hours of flight, on the evening of March 6, the plane arrived in the capital Bay Area, the heart of the Great Yan Kingdom. The 54 people from Dian Kingdom participating in the Sky Mending Project will all gather in the capital Bay Area, and then take the sea route to the Antarctic base. I heard from the old man that Xiaoning also came to the capital Bay Area and happened to meet and say goodbye to Xiaopinggan. Sitting on the plane and looking from the air, many places in the Bay Area, the capital of the Great Yan Kingdom, have been electrified and the lights are bright. If you don't pay attention, it is almost difficult to remember that this is a country that has just recovered from a huge disaster. Orderly city. When the plane landed, Xiaopinggan could also see several aircraft carriers staying in the Bay Area military port. If there are still Chinese people like me who came to this world, I don't know what it would be like to watch San Francisco on Earth turn into the Bay Area, the capital of the Great Yan Kingdom. Looking at the magnificent Bay Area bridge below the plane, Xiaopinggan's mind couldn't help but think of the Golden Gate Bridge, which had been destroyed over and over again in Hollywood movies. The two looked somewhat similar, both of which a cable-stayed bridge. Yan Duo was exhausted the past few days. After retaking Guangzhou, he led a team to clean up the monsters in the wild. He didn't close his eyes for several days. After getting on the plane, he slept with his eyes closed most of the time until the plane arrived. After landing at a military airport and stopping, he opened his eyes, rubbed his face, and stood up from his seat. "Are you here?" "Sir, the Tianhuang Air Force Base in the capital Bay Area has arrived." The crew came to the two of them, said something, and opened the cabin door. Xiaopinggan nodded. Thank you for your hard work, then turned and walked towards the cabin door. Yan Duo also stood up and followed Xiaopinggan off the plane. The crew members on the plane stood at attention and saluted at the cabin door, watching the two people leave. Outside the plane, two black military off-road vehicles were parked. Two major officers, a man and a woman, were waiting next to the car. When they saw the two people coming down, the two officers came up and saluted them. The person introduced himself. The female officer's name is Lu Li, and the male officer's name is Tian Sichen. They were sent by the Military Control Commission to receive them. Yan Duo got into Tian Sichen's car, while Xiaopinggan got into Lu Li's car. After the two cars drove out of the airport, they went their separate ways. Yan Duo went directly to the starting point of the military port, while Lu Li took Xiaopinggan towards the city. The roads along the capital circle are full of patrolling military vehicles and soldiers. Tanks, armored vehicles, and fortifications can be seen at many intersections. The air here is filled with hidden divine power fluctuations after the summoner lights up the lamp. Seeing such a scene, Xiaopinggan felt relieved. Although the air in the capital area is still tense, order here should have been basically restored. An hour later, Major Lu Li drove Xiaopinggan to a Guangzhou hotel in the Greater Bay Area of the capital. The car drove directly into the hotel's underground parking lot, stopped, and got out of the car. Lu Li took Xiaopinggan directly to the hotel's internal elevator to the 28th floor of the hotel, and took Xiaopinggan to room 2801. Door. Xiaoning came to Guangzhou Hotel yesterday. She lives here. We have told her that you will come tonight, and she is waiting for you in the room. Okay, thank you. Xiaopinggan took a deep breath and rang the doorbell of the room. Ding dong. The doorbell of the room only rang once, and the door of the room was suddenly opened. Brother. Seeing Xiaopinggan standing at the door, Xiaoning rushed over and hugged Xiaopinggan tightly, crying. Let's go in and talk. When Xiaoning was almost crying, Xiaopinggan patted Xiaoning's head and entered the room with Xiaoning. Major Lu Li was waiting outside. Entering the room, Xiaopinggan discovered that the room was very large, the standard of a presidential suite. Xiaopinggan looked at Xiaoning. After not seeing each other for a few months, Xiaoning actually gained a little weight and looked good. It seemed that Xiaoning was living well in the doomsday bunker codenamed Tianxiao. The two of them sat on the sofa. Xiaoning held Xiaopinggan's hand, wiped her tears, and started talking to Xiaopinggan all of a sudden, with an excited look on her face. Brother, you don't know that the doomsday bunker in Xiao City is really underground. Oh my gosh, it's such a big city. It's underground. All the underground cities use electricity, including electric rail trains and electric buses. As well as underground sunshine farms, various resource circulation systems, artificial sun, and the large military transport plane I took that day, can fly directly into the airport of the doomsday bunker in the middle of the mountain. It is so shocking. A doomsday bunker can accommodate millions of people, and the whole city is divided into many layers. I lived in that doomsday bunker for several months, but I still didn't understand how big that doomsday bunker was. Xiaopinggan smiled and listened to Xiaoning talking about what she saw and heard in the doomsday bunker. What are you doing in the doomsday bunker? You haven't seen me for several months and you have gained weight. Xiaoning's face turned red. After I got there, they assigned me to a sunshine farm. The sunshine farm was a high-tech organic orchard without soil cultivation. I just took care of the fruits. My job was pretty good. It's simple, just check the sensor data of the nutrient solution used to cultivate the fruits every day, and adjust the light value. There is nothing to do in the orchard. I just patrol the orchard every day, walk around a few times, and pick when bored. Eat 2 fruits. The fruits are very delicious. They are very clean without washing. The more fruits you eat and the less exercise you do, the more you gain 2 pounds. By the way, brother, I heard what the person who sent me here said about you. I have made great contributions to Yazhu, is it true? Xiaopinggan smiled and said, it's not too big even if I stand a little, I just said I'll be fine. What else did they say to you? They said that you have made a contribution and the order outside the doomsday bunker has been gradually restored. They told me that I can come to the National Capital University in the Capital Bay Area to study fine arts and enjoy the highest scholarship. I can live in the Capital Bay Area in the future. If you encounter danger again, you can return to the Doomsday Bunker. I have the right to be a permanent resident of the Doomsday Bunker. When Xiaoning said this, she looked excited. Brother, do you know, they said that I will be a student of Professor Urudin of Capital University in the future, and I can study painting with Professor Urudin. Oh my God, I feel like I am in a dream. Same, they said Capital University will start classes at the end of this month. The National Capital University of Dian is one of the top 10 famous schools in the world. Urudin is a signature of the Academy of Fine Arts of Capital University. She is a world-renowned female painter and one of Xiaoning's idols since she was a child. Xiaoning dreams of following her. Urudin studied and became a female painter like Urudin. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, Xiaoning found that her dream had come true. Before coming, Xiaopingyan actually considered in his mind whether to let Xiaoning become a summoner. Xiaoning did not have the ability to fuse the world beads before, but he still has a lot of bodybuilding pills. As long as he eats these bodybuilding pills, Xiaoning will definitely be able to fuse the world pearl. But at this moment, looking at Xiaoning's beaming face when he talked about painting, Xiaopingyan quietly gave up this idea in his mind. A person's true happiness is to live his life the way he likes and pursue what he likes throughout his life, rather than becoming a summoner. What if Xiaoning becomes a summoner and enters the one-dimensional realm, the two-dimensional realm, or the three-dimensional realm? Can you live happily if you become a summoner? Can being a summoner really survive a crisis? Xiaopingyan was deep in thought, while Xiaoning asked about the situation in Yazhu and Zengquan, and asked about Fang Lingshan and Qing and the others' current situation. Xiaoning was visibly relieved when he heard that Fang Lingshan and Qing and the others were fine. By the way, brother, I think Sister and Qing and Sister Lingshan are both good. What do you think? Are you serious about finding a sister-in-law for me? Xiaoning also asked Xiaopingyan. Xiaopingyan tapped Xiaoning on the head, don't worry about your brother and me. I have to leave Yazhu for a while to perform a special mission. It may not be easy to see them again in the future, and you won't be able to contact them for a long time. Come to me, don't worry about me, I told An Qing and Lao Tu before I came here, asking them to take care of you in the future, you just treat them as your brothers and sisters. Ah, brother, what mission are you going to perform? Is it dangerous? Don't worry, there is nothing dangerous in front of your brother and me. I will take care of myself, Xiaopingyan said, taking out a medicine bottle and a suitcase with a move of his hand, and told Xiaoning seriously, the elixir in this medicine bottle is called the strengthening pill. There are 180 pills in it. You take one pill every day. After eating these pills, you can improve your physique, make your skin better, and make you less likely to age in the future. It's easy to get fat, so keep these pills for yourself. Brother, how could you suddenly conjure things up? Xiaoning almost jumped up in shock when she saw Xiaopingyan using the space warehouse for the first time. It's not a big deal. This is just the summoner's space equipment. Don't make a fuss. The pill I just mentioned will be taken one pill a day from now on. Do you remember it? Ah, there is also this kind of elixir, brother, where did you get it? When Xiaoning heard that Xiaopingyan said there was such an elixir, he immediately took the bottle over. You don't have to worry about it. Have you forgotten that I am a summoner? I can't tell you what a summoner is capable of. Xiaopingyan patted Xiaoning's head, pointed to another box, and smiled. Then he said, this box is my trophy. It's not convenient to carry it with me. It's full of world beads. I can't use it anymore, so I'll give it to you. You open a safe in Dian Bank and save those world beads, you can use it if necessary. Don't say in the future that your brother didn't prepare a dowry for you. Xiaoning wrinkled her nose and pursed her lips. You think I'm going to get married before you even find my sister-in-law? You go find your sister-in-law first, and I'll keep this thing for you as a betrothal gift. Okay, I will bring you a sister-in-law when I come back next time. Please put away the things in this box. Xiaoning knew nothing about this possible last meeting, and Xiaoping'an acted as if he was just performing an ordinary mission. Xiaoning believed it was true. Xiaoping'an left within half an hour of the brother and sister's meeting. Xiaoning sent Xiaoping'an to the underground parking lot, watched Xiaoping'an and a female officer get into the car, smiled and waved to her, the car started, and Xiaoping'an left.